we just met on Monday with the Portland Community Engagement Division, and so they're made up of 5 officers that are very engaged out in the community. And one of the things that kind of really touched me, kind of really hit home with me, was a story that was, and I'll just call him Officer K, because he doesn't want his name out there because he's already getting death threats just for being a police officer. And this is a Black officer, and so we're talking about just the inner North and Northeast Portland, which used to be the home for the Black community here in Portland, because now really there's silos of Blacks. There's no community. And so if you were from here and I were to say, hey, do you know where Alberta Street is? Of course, everybody knows Alberta Street, and everybody knows the staple of restaurants that used to be there and stores and whatnot. And Alberta has been regentrified, and that started back in the 90s. And I should say gentrified, because regentrified is not correct, but gentrified and back in the 90s. And so you've had a shift of just community. It's not a Black community, it's a white community. And so this officer was driving to his grandparents' house, who happens to still be on Alberta, and he's like, hey, you wouldn't imagine the things that I have to endure day after day after day driving through Northeast Portland. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, Alberta. And I'm like, okay, well, Alberta's a white neighborhood, right? And so I'm thinking, it's a lot of, I would say more liberal people who live on Alberta. And so as he's like, well, last week I'm driving down the street, and people are making monkey sounds and making monkey dances and telling me that, hey, you don't belong here, you need to leave this neighborhood. And I'm thinking to myself, a lot of these people are still the people that are out that are protesting, and so about racial injustice, racial equality. When is it okay to be racist to a Black police officer? Because he's a police officer, it's like, you can just do anything you want. You can say anything you want. So these are people, right? These are people that have to live in the community, that have to serve in the community, but yet they're getting death threats for doing their job. And that's not right.